Another day, another video of me apologizing for the ends of my hair being different colors than the rest of my hair because I used to be blonde and now the bleach is growing out and it's a terrible disaster. I don't mean to draw attention to it just really bothers me, so then I automatically assume it's gonna bother everyone else. I know, it's a rough life. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Unless this is your first video, then hi, welcome. I'm really glad that you decided to click and join us today. I'm really excited about today's video because I'm starting a new series on my channel called The It Factor, and this is going to be the first installment. The It Factor here on my channel is going to be a series all about really popular artists who are like in the spotlight, super mainstream, really popular, and we're going to be exploring why they have what is called the It Factor. And if you don't know, the It Factor itself is just a term used in the entertainment industry to describe someone who has all the qualities or characteristics or tools to be extremely successful at whatever it is. Kind of like in the modeling industry when you have the look. So for the first ever installment of this series, we're going to be talking about Olivia Rodrigo, since she is one of the hottest names in music right now. So for this video, we're going to be taking a look at her career, where she came from, some of her marketing strategies, why they work, some criticisms people have about her public opinion, get you a snack, a cold brew, some green tea or something, popcorn, pretzels, whatever you like. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into the It Factor for Miss Olivia Rodrigo. So for the first section of this video, we're just gonna do a little bit of an introduction, even though I'm positive 99% of the people watching this right now know who Olivia Rodrigo is. So Olivia Rodrigo is an 18-year-old singer, songwriter, and actress from California. She was born on February 20th in 2003, and she's half Filipino. If you somehow don't know, Olivia is an extremely successful pop superstar that has just broken multiple records with her first album alone. Just within the last year, she's slingshotted to insane mainstream success, and she's also the first artist to ever start her career with her first 3 singles in a top 10 spot on the charts. Her very first single, Driver's License, went #1 and stayed there for 8 weeks straight, which has been the longest chart stay of any artist this entire year. Her other 2 singles though, Deja Vu and Good For You, also placed in a top 10 spot. They both were #8, which is still extremely insane. She has literally shattered Spotify streaming records. She shattered them. She shattered them like Carrie Underwood shattered her ex's headlights. Just kidding, that was probably fictional, but stream before he cheats. But yeah, her very first album, Sour, holds the title of 2021's biggest debut and is considered a blockbuster #1. The debut album, Sour, went #1 in multiple countries and is said to have over 301 million streams. I know her pockets are heavy. Needless to say though, she has millions of followers on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and a very big and dedicated fan base standing behind her. So that leaves the big question, how did we get here? How did we get here? No, but yeah, let's look at Olivia's background. Olivia is one of those famous people who's kind of always been doing entertainment related things. She started taking singing and acting lessons as young as 6 years old. She used to do theater productions for school when she was in elementary school and also did them in middle school. She also did singing competitions when she was really young and continued to do them for years until she started landing like solid acting gigs.
Don't tell me not to fly. I simply do. If someone sings this bill, it's me and not you. Who told you allowed to rain on my parade? 'Cause you're not for me, no. I'm an obsessed when times get hard. And Papa always has a joke.
Just watching those singing competitions alone, I can kind of see exactly why she's like gotten as far as she's gotten. But she landed a role in an Old Navy commercial when she was around like 10 or 11, and that commercial kind of domino affected the rest of her career, because after the commercial she landed her first like actual big role, and it was in a movie, an American Girl movie called Grace Stirs Up Success, that came out in 2015 when she was around 12 or 13. And then because of that, like I said, domino effect, she ended up landing a little bit of a more major thing with Disney Channel. She got to star as Paige in the Disney Channel show Bizaardvark. I don't know a single thing about Bizaardvark, and I don't think I want to know. I know one of the Paul brothers was in it, and that's all I need to know. I do really think that this Disney Channel role specifically is what stirred all of this up for Olivia in the first place. That Old Navy commercial did kind of domino affect things because she got to be in an American Girl movie, but I sincerely think that Bizaardvark is really what like did everything for her. And that concept is so insane for me to think about. She was just a Disney Channel actor for like 3 seasons of a show, and that with some other little decisions along the way ended up making her one of the biggest megastars on the planet. I just think that her transition from being on Disney Channel to stardom is so different from the transitions that we've seen before from Disney stars. People like Miley or even Zendaya, like their transition away from Disney Channel was so different than Olivia's. Olivia's transition was just so fast and seamless. There was never a point in time where she had to work to break away from a Disney Channel image, even though she's still working for Disney Channel right now. But that's exactly what makes it more interesting. She's still working for Disney Channel as of right now, which I'll kind of get into in a second. But when you think of Olivia Rodrigo, nobody's gonna be like, oh, that Disney Channel star. Whereas people like Miley or even Selena Demi still get referred to as Disney stars, even though they've had these huge careers completely unrelated from Disney for years now. It's not really comparable. I get that. I don't want people to like drag me in the comments for that, because definitely Olivia's role on Bizaardvark isn't much comparable to like Miley being in Hannah Montana.
I just wanted to say that I'm sorry that my camera defocused. It stays unfocused for a while and I did notice, but in a little bit it is gonna go back to normal. I am deeply sorry. Ha 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 ha. My bad.
That was like a huge phenomenon, a huge franchise that ended up kind of changing Miley's life. I definitely think that's because the concept of Disney Channel has changed a lot too. Back in the day when I was a kid, Disney stars were like these stars. Whereas these days, like stars are way more social media focused. Like kids these days are going to idolize Charli D'Amelio and not someone that they saw on Disney Channel, so to say. So I get that it's not really that comparable, but I do think it's still really interesting. Her transition from Disney to being this huge pop star is just like kind of mind-blowing. But yeah, Bizaardvark is of course not the only Disney Channel thing that Olivia has been involved in, which is why I said that that show is kind of what opened the door to like bigger things, because since she did Bizaardvark, she was able to land a role as Nene in the Disney Channel Plus series High School Musical, the series. Just so excessive. Why did they name it that? I don't know. They hate all of us. I know that I keep saying all these different things is what kicked it off for her, because I said, oh, doing the Old Navy commercial really domino affected for her. Oh, being on Bizaardvark is what she owes it all to. But really truly the one thing that I think is like the biggest thing that she did was starring as Nene in High School Musical, the series. And you'll see why when we continue to kind of make this timeline. Those other things that she did were kind of just like stepping stones, but I think the most major thing she did was being Nene, because that's what really opened the door. But the reason that I say that landing the role as Nene was just like such a crucial and a big and huge important thing for her is because people love High School Musical. People love High School Musical. That's like Disney Channel classic. That is like one of the faces of like Disney Channel classics. One of the, if not the biggest franchise they've had. And we're sort of really in this time right now where people are really obsessed with reliving their childhood obsession. Everyone is like grown up and super into like the reboots and the spin-offs and the reunions. So High School Musical getting this sort of new thing or this like spin-off or whatever you want to call it was like a huge thing. So because of that, the show did super well. The older crowds of people like my age, a little bit older, a little bit younger, tuned in because of the nostalgia of it, because they loved High School Musical and wanted to see what was up. And then the younger crowds who didn't really grow up on High School Musical also tuned in because the show was like kid-friendly and fun, and that was just something that they would like to watch. So ultimately it was like a win-win for everyone. And another thing that became a hit right along with it is the song All I Want from High School Musical, the series. All I Want was written and performed by Olivia Rodrigo and was her very first song to go extremely viral. This was due in a large part to the song going very viral on TikTok specifically, but All I Want was a trending sound literally for ages. It was just one of those songs that everyone knew by default, even if you had never even heard of High School Musical, the series. It was just nearly escapable on the internet, and I do plan on making a video talking about TikTok's impact on the music industry. But this song is sort of what put all eyes on Olivia, and the attention on her really amplified around fall time in 2020 when she started hinting that she got her heart broken, and everyone started speculating that it was by her co-star Joshua Bassett or Bassett. I don't know how to say his last name. She has a co-star named Joshua who was in High School Musical, the series with her, and they were love interests on the show. So because they were love interests on the show, people in the general public shipped them a lot throughout their filming, even though Olivia did have a boyfriend. I think I should mention that. His name is Ethan. But people shipped her with Joshua because they were lovers on the show, they were co-stars. There was a lot lot of like behind the scenes content and like table reads and stuff where people would be like, oh my god, look at them flirting, and really shipped them. So then in the fall time when she started posting about heartbreak after she already dated someone else, people started speculating that it was about Joshua. And this was also a little bit after Joshua was seen in public with another girl named Sabrina Carpenter, who is a fellow Disney star, actress, and singer. So of course, you know, the public loves drama. They feed off the drama. They love the drama. Don't save the drama for your mama. Save it for the public, because you could probably profit off of it. And High School Musical, the series, was already really popular on its own. So the idea that the two main stars of that popular show could be involved in drama was really exciting for the public and really put all eyes on them. But a few months after all of this speculation that Olivia got her heart broken by Joshua, she released her debut single called Driver's License, and that was in January of 2021. And Olivia released her debut single under the record label Interscope Records, who she kind of caught the attention of when she was getting all that hype from All I Want, and it did really well. They noticed and they were like, hey, sign with us. They're parented by Universal Music Group, by the way. But luckily, when Olivia agreed to sign with Interscope, she would only do it if she could have ownership and control over her masters, which, thank God for that girly being smart. That makes my little music business heart so happy. I'm so proud of her for doing that. But yeah, she was really inspired by the Taylor Swift situation and really looks up to her. So she said, okay, like, you can sign me, but I want my masters. But anyways, Driver's License, her very first single, released under her new record label Interscope, went #1 and broke 2 Spotify records. One for the most daily streams of a song in history. That's not holiday related. And she also broke the record for the first song in history to reach over 80 million streams in just 1 week. Olivia was quoted after this, after she broke the records and stuff, saying that it was the craziest week of her entire life, and I can imagine. Fresh off Disney, maybe I'll break some world records in music and go critically acclaimed with my first single alone. Olivia did a really good job at promoting Driver's License too. She really did give us a taste of what her general brand and aesthetic would be for her first era. She really did seem like such a sweet and grateful and really down-to-earth person and humble while all of this was happening, while these crazy records were being broken, which made people in the public more intent on like standing behind her. She even got the support of Taylor Swift publicly after the release of Driver's License, which was really huge for Olivia because she had made it like very clearly known that she was a Swiftie since she was a child. She like had a picture of her as a child holding up a Taylor Swift sign. She had like a Taylor Swift lock screen and all these different things that made it clear she was a fan for a really long time. So it was a really cool moment for her. She didn't try to hide her fangirling about Taylor. She posted about it all over Instagram, posted a video of her freaking out over it. Overall, she was just really establishing herself as the teenage pop star she would become over time, early on, and she had no problem keeping everything really authentic, which is a huge part of the it factor, and we'll talk about that later. Which kind of leads me into Olivia's branding and marketing, which is the thing I'm the most excited to talk about. I'm absolutely obsessed with the idea of marketing campaigns and making albums and aesthetics and So we're going to talk about her marketing strategies, her promotional strategies, and why they directly led to such success. So there's 3 things that I want to talk about when considering Olivia's aesthetic or brand as a musician. Number 1 is consistency. People love consistency. People's brains love consistency. If you ever study anything that has to do with marketing, consistency is just like so important, and you'll learn that. It's just very important to repeat key elements of something so that people will recognize it as your thing or immediately associate it with your product or whatever. It's just such an important thing to have, and Olivia definitely has very great consistency. First of all, with her colors. Sour is obviously all about purple if you've ever seen anything that has to do with her and her music. She picked the color very early on and so beautifully weaved it into everything that she did. Somebody call Mariah Carey. I'm obsessed. The purple color that she picked is very much present in all of her social media and art and music, even her merchandise. It wasn't too much, it wasn't ugly. It was so fitting for everything about her brand. So fitting, and she did it so flawlessly. But the consistency thing also goes along with her logo and font. She's got the logo with her initials. It's just like an OR, which is present in a lot of stuff, very consistent. She's also got her full name, Olivia Rodrigo, in the little circle. And then she's also got the Sour album font in general, which was designed to look like magazine clippings, which I thought was really cute. And that element is a little less common, but it's still present in a lot of the stuff that she does. So the consistency across the board is just mwah. It's nothing too in your face, nothing annoyingly repetitive, but it's present exactly where it needs to be, and it was done very, very well. So that was the first thing, consistency. The second thing I want to talk about is just like the overall look and how a lot of different elements were pulled together to make one like cohesive thing. The overall aesthetic for the entire Sour era has been so incredible that it's like almost unbelievable to me. This entire section of this video, her branding is just going to be me just like being in love with her marketing team. Like, I hope her marketing team is sleeping good, having great sex, cashing big checks, eating good. Anyways, the aesthetic really captures this like modern day teenage dream thing that Olivia has going on, and I think that's the perfect way to describe it. This modern day teenage dream. She's got that like scramble of like smileys and stars and flowers going on like on her album cover, and it was also present in those little journal things that she was selling, which I thought was such a cute idea. That idea was very fitting in itself. Like I said, teenage dream, journal, diary type of thing. It works, it fits. She's got the butterflies, balloons, little candies, all combined with this purple color going on. Her lyric videos fit this aesthetic with the little torn pieces of paper, and her music videos also directly fit with this whole thing with the purple lighting. She's got the vintage TVs and the cheerleaders. Even her Instagram feed as a whole pulls together this entire aesthetic so beautifully. Olivia's looks really good. It looks like her Instagram feed. It doesn't look robotic or manufactured. It looks like I am a teenage pop star. This is my life. But another component of Olivia's ability to kind of pull together one aesthetic really well is her merchandise. She's been highly praised for her merch, rightfully so, in my opinion. The merch that she has is very fitting for her personal brand and aesthetic of Sour, but it's also extremely like wearable and stylish, and is exactly what teenagers in this day and age are wearing and want to wear. She seems to really know her audience, and it works. When I say that her merch is wearable, I mean it's not just a t-shirt with the artist name slapped across the front in an ugly font. It's clothes that you can wear and style and look good in, while also making it clear that you're like a fan of hers. Plus, she models her own merch, and I think that's really cool, and a lot of people really like that too. I ordered Sour merch. It's not here yet. I wanted to wear it in this video, but it didn't come in time. So now we have consistency, the overall look, and then the third thing I want to talk about when it comes to her branding and marketing is relatability. This in part goes along with what I was just saying about how she knows her audience, and that's reflected like in her merch. Olivia's like personal style in general is very similar to how teenagers her age dress these days. It's very much reflected in her merch, like I said, but it also just makes her more relatable. Like I said earlier, she openly freaks out about her favorite celebrity. She talked about reading One Direction fanfiction when she was younger. She posted about her graduation. She does like little photo dump. Her music is very teenage. She writes about things that can sometimes be hard to admit, like crying on your bathroom floor over heartbreak. We all do it, but who wants to say that? You know what I'm saying? Being super insecure and super jealous of other people's lives. And it's not that other singers haven't done these things. I probably should have put that as a disclaimer a long time ago. I'm not trying to make it seem like Olivia invented being relatable and super consistent with her colors and her merch and all that stuff. There's other celebrities out there who do those things too. But yeah, Olivia very much maintains her status as a teenage girl, even though she's extremely famous. And I think that really, really works and helps. People love relating to people who are in the spotlight, and it makes them feel more inclined to be a fan of her. It makes them feel more connected to her, more heard. They feel really seen by those kind of things. It's a really, really good marketing technique. Authenticity. Sometimes people fake their authenticity so much that it just doesn't work. They try too hard to seem relatable or to seem just like you or to seem really connected to you, and it doesn't work. And then there's other celebrities who are just not authentic at all, and everything feels very robotic and manufactured, and you struggle to like connect to them. But with Olivia, it doesn't really feel super manufactured. Even if some of this stuff is manufactured, because it is, there's definitely some elements, obviously, of her and her brand and stuff that are manufactured because she's famous, she's signed to a major label, of course. But it's done in a way that doesn't seem like it. But with those three things combined, the consistency, the relatability, and then pulling all of these elements together into one very cohesive brand, it's really easy to be a fan of Olivia. All of these things combined also really helped her promote the Sour album album, which I want to talk about some of the like fun promotional strategies that she had. Like for example, she sent people these huge boxes of special limited edition Sour Patch Kids. That was pretty incredible. Definitely such a good idea if you're gonna have an album called Sour. She also did the Sour car wash, which was a great idea. Who is coming up with these things? She had posters plastered around different cities with her logo on them, which has been kind of a trend. I know Harry did the same thing when he was releasing Fine Line. She also recently did the Sour Prom, which that whole idea was really cool. Definitely genius. She had the varsity letters going on, her friends, the balloons, all of it. It was a perfect opportunity to do something for the public while maintaining and amplifying a brand that you have. If they were gonna use anyone to teach marketing in the music business, it should be Olivia. She should be the example because the entire campaign was insane, and I give it a 10 out of 10, a hard 10 out of 10. So far in why Olivia has the it factor, we have her background, and then we have her marketing and aesthetic and branding that she did a really good job of. A huge part of it, I should mention, is just her music is good in general. I definitely don't want to take away from that by talking about all these other factors that contribute to her success, because while they do contribute, it is also important to recognize that she just has good music in general. She's proven to be an insanely talented songwriter, especially with how young she is. And I also really admire her ability on Sour, at least, to change up her sound within her own project. So whether or not you like her, it doesn't matter. To someone, she has good music. To a lot of people, she has good music. So overall, it definitely seems like Olivia has it all, but there are some things that people criticize her for. I will say firstly though, a lot of the hate that Olivia gets is very unwarranted. People hate on her openly just because she's a successful teenage girl, and for some reason people hate successful teenage girls. Charli D'Amelio and Addison Rae went through it. Emma Chamberlain went through it. Even people like Kendall and Kylie Jenner went through it. And yes, I know that sometimes there does exist genuine reasons not to like a successful young girl, like in the case of the Jenners especially. I know that. But if the reason that you're constantly coming up with ways to rip on them is just because they're successful, then I don't know, man. I don't know. But with Olivia and more specific criticism, I do want to kind of talk about the idea that she's an industry plant, and or the idea that like other artists sort of deserve her hype, but they're not getting the opportunities. So if you don't know, an industry plant by definition is an artist who has a major / indie label backing their movement, but present themselves as a homegrown startup label to create a pseudo-organic following. There can be a lot of variations of this definition of industry plant. Some people think it's just anyone who has some kind of help, some kind of connection that can really grow their success. But people typically really do not like these industry plants, people who like have major help backing them to get to where they are, especially if they try to make it seem like they're homegrown. Like, I'm self-made, did this myself, started from the bottom, thank God, when really they had some huge connection backing them the whole time and gave them all their opportunities. So a lot of people who don't like Olivia pass it off as calling her an industry plant, at least in some variety. And I will say that technically by definition, yeah, she is one. At least in some degree. She had a major label backing everything she did before she started her first era. But I don't think that Olivia has ever tried to pass herself off as this like self-made, do-it-yourself type of person who like home grew themselves. So I think her having all these opportunities and all this support doesn't make her a bad person. And I think the industry plant accusation in the context of an insult is weird. Like, people really come at her and they're like, oh, you're just an industry plant. I think most of the fair criticism with this topic comes from the fact that there does exist other artists who are similarly talented but don't get to have the same opportunities or aren't hyped up as much as the public hypes up Olivia. A good example of this is Willow Smith. I hate comparing people, especially to very talented women. For the sake of this video, Willow Smith is an example of someone who people in the public feel is just like kind of cheated by the public. Willow went pretty viral on TikTok, similarly to Olivia, but doesn't have like the same treatment and opportunities. She's definitely not the only one. There exist a lot of people who of course have the same, you know, abilities that could deserve to be backed by a big label or get all the hype from the public that Olivia gets. But I don't necessarily think that's her fault. I don't think she should be hated on to prove that point. You don't have to hate on her and drag her name through the mud to get the point across that other people deserve her hype. That's a fact. But I do think the way that, you know, we kind of pick who's going to be hyped up and the way that we pick who's going to be backed by a major label is definitely worth talking about.
I definitely do plan on doing a whole video exploring beauty standards in the music industry, because so much of mainstream music these days are all about who can do these things like Olivia, like have these really cool aesthetics and projects and be backed by these huge labels. So like I said, it's really about how to be picked, and so much of that has to do with how you look, your skin color, your body type, things like that, because it contributes, unfortunately, to your marketability. So I definitely want to do a whole video about that. I don't want to just stick it in this one.
I think another criticism that people have about Olivia is that she would be nothing without TikTok. Someone actually commented about this on my unpopular opinions video. But TikTok really is like how most people, especially like our age, discover and consume music these days. TikTok definitely propelled her success, but that's just because it was good music in the first place. There's other factors that contributed, but like I said, one of them is that she is talented. So I think accusing someone of just being mainstream as an insult is so dumb, which not even just with Olivia, this happens so often. People automatically assume that just because something is super popular and mainstream, it's suddenly worth hating, and that it's not good, and that it's terrible, and that it's just, oh, it's just because it's mainstream, everybody likes that. How did that suddenly become an insult? If something is extremely popular and mainstream, don't you think there's something like good about it? But another criticism that people have about Olivia kind of going along with that is that she's just popular because she has Swifties backing her. I don't think I really have a lot to say about this, just because I think it's so like, what? Because it's like, yes, having Taylor's support or Swiftie support or whatever helps, but it's not the thing that is making her popular like people make it seem. Like, they get so mad and they're like, you'd be nothing without Swifties, they're the only people who like you, when that's just clearly not true. But I do think a huge part of Olivia Rodrigo criticism is just people finding any reason they can to undermine her success because they can't understand it or they don't like it. So overall, if we combined every single thing that we just talked about, why does Olivia have the it factor, you wonder? Experienced. She's been doing music and acting since she was a child. Talented. She can sing, she can act, she landed roles with Disney, she proved herself. Marketable. She is definitely some kind of beauty standard. And that concept, unfortunately, in the music industry is marketable. Also marketing, because the angsty modern day teenage dream aesthetic she has going on works well. Relatable. Her social media makes her look like a genuine person and not a robot that some musicians are turned into. She writes songs about different things that people relate to. And her merch is extremely likable and wearable to today's teens. And then of course, privileged. She was lucky to be able to grow up with all the resources that she needed to become successful. Like I said earlier, she could afford to take singing lessons. She went to a school where she could be in production. Also, like I said, a beauty standard, which makes her privileged. And plus, from the beginning of her career away from Disney, she was backed by major labels. So those are all the reasons combined why Olivia Rodrigo has it. I think Olivia's story is so interesting, literally so interesting, and I'm very, very curious about how it's all gonna play out in the future. For Olivia, it's even more interesting because of the whole teenage dream thing she has going on right now. You definitely can't keep that alive forever as you continue to grow and mature. I'm really interested in what other themes she's going to explore in future projects. I genuinely hope nothing but the best for her in her career, because I know that it's been so insane so far, and I just want anything that's good for her. But yeah, let me know in the comments what other big mainstream artists you guys want me to cover in these It Factor videos, kind of exploring where they came from, criticisms of them, exploring their marketing, what makes them likable, things like that. While you're down there commenting, don't forget to check out my description. I have all my social medias down there. And also down in my description, I have that forum that I always mention in these videos, where if you have a specific music or commentary request, you can leave it there and I will consider it for a video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. It was a lot of fun to make. I'm really excited to make more It Factor videos in the future, and I hope you're all doing good, drinking your water, absolutely thriving, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Oh, I finished the Red Bull. You know what? I do feel energized.